let's talk about the quote-unquote last update for Unbound. Apparently that was Volume 9, and for all things considered, that could 100% be the case. But as far as I'm concerned, I just don't think that is the case. Now, I have had this topic discussed in streams and other YouTube videos, but we never really focused on it, only briefly talked about it, where we think the future of Unbound is going. Straight up, my thoughts on it are that I do not believe Volume 9 is the last update in the sense of the wording, but it is the last big update, meaning that an update that is themed around something. I do think that is the last update, yes. I do not think we will see a carbon themed update, for example, or a heat themed update. I am sort of leaning on the idea that if the dev team, whatever group of 2 or 3 people that are left at this point, were to release a volume 10, 11, or even 12, I think it would be smaller updates that they may add additional things to the game, but will not be nowhere near the size and impact of each Kaizen update. For a refresher, the Kaizen updates were volume 6 with the introduction of Audi, volume 7 with the introduction of Drift and Drag, volume 8 with the introduction of Cops vs. Racers, aka the Hot Pursuit update, and last but not least, volume 9, which introduced everyone's favorite game mode, Lockdown. It was inspired by Most Wanted. I also want to state very quickly before we get into anything else that I am going off my own thought process here, and have not seen or received any information that has in any way confirmed more updates for the game. I am in the same position as everyone else outside of the EA dev team, and I know nothing about the future plans for Unbound. I have to say that because there are some people in the Need for Speed community that will try to say I am confirming something even though I'm not. I had one guy comment on one of my YouTube videos about tips for Lockdown, saying that he hates when YouTubers don't put all the information in the video. He was talking about how I said you could start with a bike, and his complaint was that I lied by not saying that people have to have their extraction streak to S+ in order to start with a bike. The funny part is that literally after I said you could start with a bike, word for word, I say you must have an extraction streak up to S+ to be able to do so. That little example just goes to show that people will take the time to comment something that doesn't even make sense, but won't take the time to make sure that what they're saying is actually correct. Maybe I will still get a comment saying I am confirming volume 10, but who knows, right? Anyway, sorry about the rant, ladies and gentlemen. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to go ahead and drop a like and subscribe, and let's get into it. Boom, boom. As I was saying before, I truly believe that we can receive a volume 10 at the very least. The best thing I can compare this to is probably any volume before volume 6 where there is content but nothing game breaking or game changing. Because remember, before these big updates, they were still doing good things with the game. Bugs were being fixed, new tracks were being added, new playlists were dropping, and we were still getting new cars as well. Let's not forget that the introduction of Kaizen did not start the implementation of these things. They were happening way before we even knew about Kaizen. Before Kaizen, we did not have cops in the game, and Volume 2 dropped them. This is all to say that just because Kaizen appears to be done with Unbound does not mean that big things still cannot happen. A big thing that seemed to be released every update was the introduction of new game modes like Gauntlet, link-ups, and off-road playlists. Yes, I am very aware that the Rumble playlists only have 6 races and have not been updated in a year, but who's to say that Volume 10 couldn't be a refresh of that aspect of racing? Maybe Volume 10 could introduce a lot of off-road tracks and actually bring love to the game mode. Maybe it could introduce a new system of playing where it doesn't just matter about the position of the race, but another feature yet to be seen. There are a few spots I have seen personally around the map that could be great off-road area tracks. And truth be told, the dev team shouldn't be scared to experiment as well. Have tracks with a bunch of ramps in them. Have tracks where we cut through a thick wooded area and you have to be careful not to hit the trees. For example, we could have a track where it starts on the dirt path from Blue Collar, but instead of going around the bends towards the end, what if we just jump straight off the mountain and keep going down on the dirt? What if an off-road update were to bring a new type of mechanic to racing? I don't think it would be on the level of a brand new handling model like for Drift and Drag, but it could be something cool like a dedicated off-road tire. Kind of in the same sense of how we have drift tires which work great in racing, and then we have Drift Pro tires which work great in actual drifting. As it stands now, we have the original off-road tires which work great in racing, but the thing is we use those tires more for on-road tracks than we do for their intended purpose. This new update for off-road could bring the Rumble playlist not only back from the dead, but also introduce it to proper PvP for the first time. This could actually get people to race in it and have full lobbies again. It was always weird to me how they introduced this game mode, but then seemed to completely avoid touching it with patch notes and new tracks. Every other game mode in the entirety of Unbound has had multiple updates, including the older drift playlist. Every game mode has had new tracks added even after Kaizen, like Gauntlet. Why has Rumble been the only thing that has not been touched? One big idea that I have had in the past is that Rumble was originally supposed to keep getting content and eventually be on the same level as every other thing in the game, but either one or two things happened. Either the dev team saw the player numbers weren't as big as they liked and axed the process of adding more to it, or they were originally going to add more, but their time was instead directed to the upcoming Kaizen updates. I am leaning more towards the first reason over the second due to the time frame of the two updates. Kaizen wasn't released until way later, so there was plenty of time to add more to Rumble in my opinion. Of course, I am not on the dev team and I do not know how hard things like track creation are, so it may not be as easy as just adding more dirt to the map. Another thing I want to talk about are the other things that usually come with updates for Unbound. To start things off, I do not think there will be another paid speed pass. I do think that Volume 9 was the last update to feature a premium speed pass, and I think that if we were to get another volume, it would have what the previous volumes had before the premium speed pass was a thing. For all of those who are new to Unbound, we used to just have a regular speed pass, which included cosmetics, anti smoke, and things like that. It was pretty much the same thing we have now, except it just felt like a free version, which it was. If a new update were to drop, I believe this is what they would go back to, and the reason for that is due to them dropping the huge Ultimate Collection. That alone hinted towards the ending of something, and if it's not the ending of updates, then I think it is the ending of paid content. I am sure a lot of people are happy about that, and so am I, but that also means that our expectations should not be where they were with the premium speed pass, meaning that the content that comes may not be as high quality. Cars are the second thing I want to break down. I do think that they may have a few extra cars that they could release, but I do not think they will be super hype or that they will drop 2 at a time like in the Kaizen updates. I do not think another brand will be introduced, nor do I think that the cars that will come will bring anything new to the game physics wise. Remember when the DeLorean and the Maybach dropped? That's what I think it would be like. The player will probably have to complete a challenge based on the new thing that is being added overall, whether that is a new off-road theme or something else, but it will be like do 5 playlist or win in a certain car. When the Porsche Taycan was dropped, they did this. Why not do it again? Due to the lateness that these new cars could be dropping, I doubt that they will be game changers, and I would even go to say that if these cars were to drop, they were cars that the dev team purposefully did not release because they were backups. Keep in mind that this is just a theory and brainstorming ideas, it's not fact. It could be a new truck that would be added, a new sports car, a new muscle car, who knows, right? But the one thing I will say is, I do think that if a new car were to drop, it would have the Kaizen handling guaranteed. The dev team themselves said that every new car dropping would have the new handling model, so why would they go back, right? The last thing is bugs. There are still so many bugs in this game for pretty much every single game mode, and a new update would be the perfect way to introduce fixes, as well as new quality of life improvements that would make the game so much better until the next Need for Speed is either announced or dropped. Why not make this game great all the way until its life cycle is over? It just doesn't seem right that a dev team that cared as much as the Kaizen team did would just drop the game after Volume 9 when there are so many players that are dealing with a bunch of issues still. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think that Volume 9 is the last update in general? Or do you think along the lines of myself, which is that Volume 9 is the last big themed update? Hopefully the dev team continues to care for Unbound all the way up until the next game, not just for players' sake, but also for the content creation people like myself. We need things to talk about, man. But anyway, if you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure to go ahead and drop a like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one.